Click on continue. Just a minute. Sorry about that. So today I'd like to introduce Sara and Nohad. They are going to be our facilitators today for this second bootcamp. Sara Huang, she is a resident in the Netherlands. And Nohad, she's ElHajj. Am I pronouncing it correctly? ElHajj. She's from Lebanon. Both are extremely passionate about collaboration and connection. And today we're going to experience that through their masterful guidance. So Sara and Nohad, I know that the time is short because you had design a very complete session. So I won't invest much time. I just wanted to say that I'm very happy to be here. And looking forward for what you prepared for us. So the floor is yours, Sara and Nohad, welcome. And if you're around, please let's give them a round of applause, please, to both, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, Hector. Hi, Paul, and everyone who has joined. And I'm trusting that you're stepping in the space however you are. So indeed, if you can, it would be nice if you would turn on your camera. But if not, I'm trusting that you're engaging on however is convenient for you right now. So we're gonna start with a little bit of a check-in, as in the chat. If you would share in chat, if you could be any color today, what color would you be and why? So feel free to put that in the chat, what color you are today. Ooh, dark red, yellow, red with violetish blue, green for hope, and blue for blue skies, and orange like the sunset. There's so many different colors that you could be today. And talking about colors, we're going to our first challenge of listening, but then with our eyes. So what I will invite you to do is that when I say 3, 2, 1, go, you're invited to show a color in front of your webcam. Could be like this. And the challenge would be, I'll do my background a little later on, is without talking while staying muted. Our common challenge is letting all the screens to become one color without communicating in words by listening through our eyes. So let me try to disable my background so I can also. So take some time just to think what color you would like to put in front of your camera. Okay. Yes. Okay then. So 3, 2, 1, go. And how can we let it become one color? Ooh, almost there. Thank you for this common challenge. We were like the sunset in a way, different kinds of red and orangey by listening with our eyes. So, with that said, I would like to hand it over to Noed.
Thank you, Sara. I'm very happy to be here. Hi, Paul, Hector. Thank you for facilitating and for inviting us. Yeah, I just wanted to give the intention of what we are going to do. It's indeed a collaboration. It started with my master's, advanced master's in artistic research. Actually, I was doing it last year, and I just presented my final presentation Monday, actually, where I walked in the city. And indeed, I had a lot of questions during that master, and my methodology to answer it was walking. And I couldn't help but ask what else can emerge from walking. And interesting enough, with Sara, through our collaboration, we kind of linked it to deep listening in facilitation. And yeah, here we are. So thank you for being here. And yeah, let's see what also will emerge from this session.
Thank you, Noah. So we're going to break out quite soon. And this is the bit to reflect on the pre-work that you have done. And if there's something in your body or your mind thinking pre-work, was it something I had to prepare? Don't worry. If you haven't prepared, the invitation is when you're in the breakout room, just think back of any walk that you have done recently. It could be even from where you're Zoom calling to the kitchen or even to the loo, whatever. If you're walking, that's fine. But just to reflect on that walk that you have done so many times before, either groceries or whatever, but really to reflect on that. And if you haven't seen the pre work, it's mostly a walk where you maybe have noticed something around you or inside of you. It could be the sound of your feet, or that you're thinking, hey, are those birds around me? So, any kind of experience of walking will be fine. And the challenge of being in that space is be open for enchantments, but don't go searching for them. Because the invitation is in that breakout room just to share your reflections. And instead of trying to make sense of it at first, just listen. Listen to each other in silence without the need of responding. And then at the end, maybe try to make sense together. So these are the instructions for about 3 minutes together. And as you can see right now, because we're all facilitators, you might have noticed I'm trying to do the breakout room at the same time and trying to stall. So 10 minutes, reflect on the walk, listen to each other in silence, and then coming back again. So here you go. Hector, would you like to join a breakout room as well, or would you rather stay here? I mean, always good. Oh, sorry, you
Let
still
me
need.
see if I can join.
Yeah, sure.
Shalaka, it seems that
I
she's
think she'll.
alone.
Yeah, indeed. If you could join room 4, that would be great. Thank you. This is so exciting. I'm so curious of all these black screens. I
This is
hope you.
So this is another. We came back to the all, or this is another. This is another. It's another room meeting, right? Okay.
It is a room.
It's a room meeting. Sara.
And it is around on listening, and Carlos, welcome back in a way.
Okay.
And they just had their first breakout together. So I hope you had some time in your breakout and that you have listened with attention
Yeah.
as well. and spoke with intention by listening not only with your ears but also with your heart.
Okay, that's great.
But when it comes to listening, Nohad, what would you like to know?
Oh, I was I was during the breakout. I didn't see the introduction, so with you in the beginning because I was like my breakout to talk longer, and so I missed your introduction. But I checked what you had in the chat, and then the ladies in this breakout room they explained me
Sure.
what was the idea to talk about the work that they have done to I don't know yesterday today and talk about that work.
Hmm.
That's what we did, and of course, it was interesting to listen to their work.
Hmm.
Usually, when you are in a facilitation, when you're meeting, when you're training, you sometimes you have some incentive to talk and not only listen. And for me, it was like I shared that idea. It was like listening to a podcast or listening to like a mindfulness story or mindfulness some music or someone talking and that you get some nature sounds or you can see some music that gives you some meditation or some calm or energize. Yeah, that was interesting.
Thank you, Carlos. And now, instead of words,
Hmm.
after the sharing, Noet?
Yeah. Um, I think let's take like 30 minutes silence. Let's sit with our body, see how we are sitting in our chairs. Take a deep breath.
Okay.
And tune in to which body part after the sharing experience that you had is more alive and asking for attention. What I want from you, or I invite you to, is in the chat, without sending, write down 2 to 3 words sentence or a sentence as reflection. But don't send it yet. Just write in the chat. What were your reflections from the sharing experience earlier? Tuning into the body part that you feel is most alive. Are you ready? Okay, when I count to 3, you have to click all together the enter. 1, 2, 3. And this is the shatterfall.
Oh, I like it. Asking you to jump and hearing with your eyes and seeing with your heart. There's something on the head and the mind, looking for quiet time and stomach. And these are actually all signals and information in a way. And especially as a facilitator, maybe you have noticed the first round, I was doing the breakout group. And how am I listening at the same time to the room? Sometimes we're focused to something, and can we also sense with the other senses that's also around? So when it comes to listening, of course, these information, you might have read them before, maybe you're even using it, but just as a reminder, because when it comes to listening, there are so many different levels. So just one level, the first one, I use that one actually a lot when talking to others, even not in the role of facilitator. This is the habit. It's usually like, yeah, really, wow, oh, that's mostly when I pick up my daughter from school and she has a lot to tell. Like, yeah, sure, oh, really? But actually, just downloading. You're not really listening. Your mind is somewhere else. It's not good or bad, it's just different levels. It says something on your mental state and how you are. The second one is a factual one. And it usually is the form of debate. You're listening for, hey, what's different? And how can I have like a counter argument? In theater, in theory, it's actually called the open mind. So you're listening from the outside, you see, and try to hear what's different. Then there's the empathic. That's more of a dialogue by listening with your heart. I've facilitated different sessions. Sometimes it's on really heated matters like Black Lives Matter, like the use of burqa in the Western society. That requires the listening of the heart. So not the debate, but the dialogue. What does it mean to you? And the last one is listening from the field, listening for co-creation. And I really love this one. My daughter draw this one. It's actually someone upside down. So it's a sense of letting go and letting come for the creation. So for the next round, we're very curious for you as a facilitator. What does it mean for you to be in that space of deep listening? How are you listening and maybe even moving in different kind of direction when it comes to listening? Because downloading is not necessarily bad, or we can't always in the co-creation part, but how do we switch? And how is it different face to face in a room, you would say? How is it different online, like we're here now? And how is it different in the hybrid setting? What do you have to let go? What do you have to let come? And when are you switching? And how can you even notice in your body that you're switching and moving within the different parts? So for the next round, we're going to do triads. So 3 people in the breakout room. The challenge is to find a way to walk and talk together. It's going to be a challenge. Maybe it doesn't work, but that does not mean that we're not going to try, because maybe you get dizzy, like, oh, I can't see you, and maybe you have a background, and then you just see trees, and then maybe a head or not. But try to find a way to see in this virtual space if you can talk and walk together, and then reflect on those questions. But before I do that, because I just said a lot, maybe just to have 2 minutes first to join down some thoughts when it comes to the switching of the levels for you as a facilitator in different settings. I'll give you about 2 minutes to reflect first. I'll put on the music. Okay, you probably haven't finished your thoughts, and that's okay. It was just to get you started on reflecting on those different levels. So we'll do 2 rounds. Each round will be about 12 minutes. Let me see. Here you go. Hey, Hector, if you would like to join, I think either room 2 or 3. I'm not sure if in room 3 they're
So,
active.
someone's alone in room 4.
Yeah, it's the tech monitor.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
some of you guys. Is from you guys?
No, I think it's probably Paul's.
Poll account. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So I need to, okay, so I need to go,
I
whatever.
would say 1 or 2. I'm not sure room 3 is actually active because those were the screens on black room, or in the pre-walk, you would say your solo experience. And even here, we invite you when you want to share and you unmute. Feel free to walk around. And by having your device show your environment as well. But pick a sharing, how do you say, a way of sharing that feels convenient or good for you. And even we have all different ways of sharing. So if you're more of an introvert and would like to write them down, you can do that as well in the chat. So putting it in the chat. There's a Google document. You can also put in your reflections there, but we're inviting and just opening the floor here.
So,
How was it for you?
Sara, I take your challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here now in this small office, and here is the noise, this kind of download. I'm hearing all kind of yes and no and okay. I'm not really listening. But sometimes when I'm out walking, I on this edge. It's like a mountain, and then it's like right or wrong. It's like a discussion, and I'm trying to balance this vibration in the group. And I get terrible stress as a facilitator when this kind of discussions and debate. But when I walk into my other room, it's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of chaos everywhere. You see also here is some kind of art pieces that is telling me a story about, talks and dialogues and so. But the most important thing that we did today was actually talking about, and you see, here's a field. It's the communication. When we kind of into a listening in a bigger field, trying to synthesize something that we don't know, but still vibration is there. And in the outbreaking group, we talked about time. So this is like really the time. How can we make time? How can we reduce time? And to make time stand still and still having, knowing when we are facilitating with fast learning or slow. And I like to compliment you, Sara, because when you come back from the wake up group, you're talking with a soft voice, which makes us being calm. So your vibration in your voice are beautiful. Okay.
Thank you, Inga. And thank you for this lovely introduction of your office. And I'm so jealous of all the artworks. Anyone else would like to share when it comes to deep listening and walking?
I can share some. Oh, sorry, Lori, you can go.
Oh, Sara, I was just thinking, reflecting how, as a facilitator, a lot of times if you're solo, you're juggling. I've done that over the years, and you're juggling, and you're trying to do all those kind of listenings all at once a little bit, but you're like this you're trying to dance. You're dancing, and you're listening, but you're also thinking about what's the next exercise that we're doing, and the timing and all this kind of stuff. And so one of the things, as I've become more of a virtual facilitator, digital facilitator, is this permission almost of having a co-facilitator, and that those jobs, because they're doing, the people, the facilitators are doing different jobs in terms of listening itself. I think that's, I'm walking and talking right now in terms of my thinking, what we're learning today a little bit about that. That's, and if we bring in a co-facilitator, is perhaps saying to them, we're going to take on different listening roles here, and these different levels of listening together, rather than saying, I want you to do the, you're going to help out the digital piece or something like that. But actually, when I'm thinking about it, you're actually taking on these different roles in the listening. That's actually quite a different strategy. I'm just thinking out loud here. I don't know if it's making any sense. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. I love that because that resonates to me. I co-facilitated this 5-week journey on Give Racism the Red Card, and there were 3 of us, and I was the tech host in role. But then when someone came in, and then I could see the 2 facilitator trying to indeed, okay, what's on the agenda? This is very valuable when it comes to the organization, but we have our next bit. And I could come in and maybe in the role for tech host, but saying, hey, Sean, nice to see you. Maybe you have noticed you're the only male in a company of women, and we're telling you a lot of things and that might feel overwhelming to you. And that is because we want to welcome you in a way, but you have everything to bring. And just to name those levels, you could just see him relax in his body, like, okay, because he was really coming in. You could see him like trying to find, somewhere to sit, and oh, where's my headphones? And oh, a lot of the information. So with that question, I was also curious in the group, when we let go of something, just like when we check in, where in your body are you noticing that you're switching or you're maybe letting go? And also inviting Felicia.
Yeah, I can share. But yeah, I was just gonna say shoulders, definitely, Lori, when we're letting go of something. Yeah, I just wanted to share, Sarah, when you were going over the different stages and you were talking about the habit or just downloading information, I don't know about anybody else, but I felt a sense of guilt because I think I do that a bit too often, perhaps, and I think the intention is I always want to, listen in a deep way, in an attentive way. But I think with just many distractions and notifications and things that, I think sometimes I unfortunately do default to that habit way. So this was an interesting activity because I don't know, I want to be moving more commonly to that empathic type of listening. So thank you. That was good. Yeah.
Sure, Rory, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had this thought. I'm not trying to hog the floor here, but I think it's interesting because we're facilitators. And so I hear what you're saying, Felicia, because I did feel that sort of guilt. And then as a facilitator, part of me is I'm trying to facilitate that the other people that are in this room, they're getting that deep meaning, and they're supposed to get deeper into it and get something out of it more. And they're the content people and all this kind of stuff. So it's almost like sometimes I'm not really listening in because I've got this role of facilitating that other people are taking it in. And it's right? So it's interesting. Yeah. Like this, this role that we have as facilitators, right? Interesting. I'm going to throw that out. Throw it.
That's why I invited Hector to host this session. So I'm enjoying as a participant, because if I was in the role of the host, I had to, just as Laurie said, I have to take care of the others. You have to take care of the group. And this is sometimes also demanding and it's exhausting for once. But a little bit of my 2 cents on the conversation, and I would like to hear from Nohad, because I'm so curious about how different cultures impact the way we collaborate. And we are Digital Collab Americas, and we are so lucky to have you in Lebanon with us. Not just usually Europe, but not Middle East. So in terms of what the 2 cents, and thanks, Felicia, I got the word of intentionality. In order to listen, you have to have intention. And perhaps you're trying to see, oh, how can I do deep listening? Start to think from your heart, what are your intentions? And then perhaps listening will come. Over to you, Noah, to complement this from the Middle East perspective.
I also would like, I think, Emilia, you wanted to say something? No, it's interesting. I think indeed there is also, I wouldn't say in the regions, but different people, I would take it to the person that how they are used to work and how they are used to cooperate with others. And your environment, for example, what induces you to which direction of listening you have. Because I came from like private sector background, and I've been around the world. So I was working in Kuwait, for example, and this is a very different, let's say, environment than Lebanon, but it was also in the private sector. And then in development sector, I went to South Africa, and it was very different. I would say it's more about also the sectors sometimes rather than regions in a way. And my own passion is actually bridging the sectors together, because indeed I feel that they are speaking different languages. And it goes into, okay, which level, where do they, how do you listen to someone who is speaking a different language, quote, you know? And I guess that falls into other things. But to me, I want to link it again. I would like to hear more about the walking and how walking came in play with your listening, and how did you, how this walk and talk together played for you, let's say, and what did it bring? What's new? What is the new thing that it brought? And for example, would you imagine yourself walking with a client, let's say, or I mean, I facilitated recently a group of women, and it was something completely different. It was a ride shop, but one of the exercises that we did was walking as well. So I'm interested, to hear from this, bringing the walking again. And how did that went for you?
I don't know about the listening, but we were discussing in the group about listening to yourself. You know, like you have to be able to listen to yourself, and maybe you can be good listening to yourself, but not good listening to others, and other way around. You can deep listen to others and not listen to yourself. It could go both ways. But I was sharing that I believe was Charles Darwin that said that his reflections and his thoughts on evolution, he normally had these walks every day and in a very specific circuit that he did all the time, and in doing those walks he was able to gather all his insights regarding the theory of evolution. And there are some and there are some studies about mental acuity, and when you were actually doing mild, I mean, walking would be a mild exercise because you get better oxygenation to the brain as well. So there could be something there about walking and talking that could create a deeper sense of interaction. There could be something to it. Yeah.
I can. Thank you, Hector, and also Nohad. I've been living in Egypt, so I've been working like in real oases in the western desert of Egypt. So we did the silent walking at the time, and of course that's it's mindfulness walking in nature. So to bring that kind of a living metaphor into our virtual reality is quite interesting, and especially in cross the cultural sectors, but maybe most important, it's a universal thing to walk in silent, to be outside looking at beauty in all its different facets. It is a brain exercise or mindfulness. So from talking heads to mindfulness is part of an integration in facilitation for us, maybe. And rightly enough, listening to others more than, but even to our inner voice, of course, the wisp. And Laurie, you mentioned that sometimes to be a facilitator and to be a co-host, if we kind of are safe in a team, we can be more authentic even as a host. So I think that authenticness is so important to get something results together. So how to bring that forward is a challenge in this digital time, but also hectic time with the clock. Yeah, thank you.
I also actually would like to add, because this is very interesting. It's always walking is associated with nature and with mindfulness, which is very true. But my walks were very urban. So I was walking in the city. And I will share, actually, maybe, Sarah, I'll have to share my walk because I broadcasted it when I was doing the presentation. And the thing that came out of it is that there was a lot of tension around me. So when you walk in the city that is actually not made to walk, there is cars, there is sounds, there is a lot of chaos around you. But indeed, it's when there is a lot of chaos that you have to center and say, okay, what I want to listen to. And like what Hector said, okay, am I listening now to myself, or what other things I can kind of listen in this chaos. So the first thing when I first started to walk was the cars, of course, but then I started to notice the birds, and then there is birds, and then I started to notice other things, and then I started to notice my feet, which came really after. And I think this is also a very interesting kind of comparison with how we do things in a very complex, particularly maybe in the online setting, because there's so many, you are bridging also the personal with the professional. Yeah, so I'm also interested to hear from you, maybe if you noticed a change when you are changing between those different layers of listening while walking, and yeah, and how that transition happened, if it happened, let's say.
Since I stood up when we did the sharing and I presented that first picture, I felt very brave. So it means maybe that if you stand up, even in a digital format, it could be that you take more stronger action when you walk, if with intention. But if we do it like if I was walking in the street, having this facilitation with you with full of car and nose, that could be distractions. So, but I'm just saying that I felt a little bit, okay, I jumped up to take the lead because I got the idea that it was good to share. Maybe it was not, but I felt, it was the impulse. And in the small group before, I presented 2 pictures. So I kind of had rehearsed it a bit. So I felt,
Thank you, Inger. And I also love how you embodied that switch. Like I jumped up, and then that, for me at least, connected to listening is really to. So listening is often with words, but actually there are pre-signals. So before there are words, in a way, there are. It's almost like baking an apple pie. Before you eat it, you smell it. It's in the oven, but then there's this sensitivity of, okay, what's going on here, and then to act on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting, especially in the trade, you would say, as a facilitator with these challenging settings of, you would say, face to face. That's something we're used to because we've done years. Online, we've practiced a lot, maybe in the pandemic or even before. But this hybrid thing, how can we sense the signals between maybe the participant online and the participant on site and the in between? And how do we jump to it? When do we stand up? When do we spin around? And when do we switch? So we don't have any answers, but we're just so enjoying this quest together with you all. Looking at the time, just wondering how the energy is in the room as well. Because time is sometimes just an indication, even though it's a 90-minute session, doesn't mean we have to use the whole 90 minutes of it. So just sensing the group, how we are at this moment.
Yeah, I can share actually. I just want to go off of what Inger was saying about when you stood up, you felt brave. That was interesting in my breakout with Shalaka and Paul. First, we weren't actually going to walk around. We said, okay, let's just imagine that we're walking. But then when we started walking, all of a sudden we started showing each other different aspects of our homes and like kind of sentimental kind of things in our homes that I wouldn't have talked about if I was just sitting. So what Shalaka said as well about walking triggering creativity, I agree with that. That was what we experienced in our breakout. Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to what Felicia said, I think Paul triggered us to, kind of challenge us and challenge us to move around and walk around with our laptops in our hands, which is, I think I've done it for the first time. So I think also pushing us to do something to, kind of move us out of our comfort zone also has some pretty awesome outcomes.
Absolutely, but the challenger was Felicia Shalaka. You remember? Close to the imagination. It was Felicia said, "Let's walk," and then I said, "Why not?"
Yeah. So I'm happy all of us kind of picked up on each other's cues and started walking.
Which is also listening, I would say.
Yeah.
It's lovely how you all jumped to the challenge. It's also sensing the energy within the group as well, and that's the collaboration. Just like the painting that Inger showed of this field with the rounds, and there's some things that you just like, oh yeah, fuck it, let's just do it. Or and sometimes you need that energy as well.
Yeah, but talking about energy levels, just let me share a session that I was in last week, I think, by our space, by the way. And Ilke was hosting a session on, and we're also experiencing two colleagues of ours that facilitate sound bites experiences. And the challenge was for us all to be like for almost 15 minutes or so. I think it was even a little bit more, listening to a wonderful soundbite on the woods in Finland, because Allspace is a company based in Finland, and they had like 20 minutes of walking in the nature and listening to the birds in Finland, and also sometimes the cows. It was interesting. And in the end, lots of participants, the feedback say that I felt sleepy. So it's really a question of also making sure that we have the right amount of energy level in the group, and sometimes the right energy for listening. And this is important variables that we as a facilitators need to have in our minds.
It could be also an element as of the environment. The thing is, because we have different cues online. For example, right now you have a very reddish light on you, Paul. So for example, can you see that I'm changing my color? It's actually my light bulb that it changes. It has different colors, so I can change how it looks like. And your perception of what I'm communicating changes. So normally reddish hues, it goes like the evening is like when you're going down, and it's like, so this whitish, it goes with the, okay, you're awake, it's part of the, you're in the business office and stuff like that. So that can also, it's, people interpret things in many different ways. Just a note. Sorry.
I was just, I liked what you're saying there, Hector. That's important. And it made me think, you know, the backgrounds are important as well that we use. And what Paul and I actually did a session about a month, 6 weeks ago, and we used house space, by the way. Thanks to Paul for, you know, great ideas. But one of the things we were using, it was believe it or not, it was around sexually transmitted diseases. And we were using a theater metaphor, and we used a dressing room. And that's where a lot of people with lived experience gathered. And they felt comfortable in the dressing room. We just had this background of the dressing room. And so they were there, and they said they were trying on dresses and all this kind of stuff, right? But just that, and so that I feel like that wakened them up, like when you're, and could listen to each other and stuff. But that, how you kind of make your room, your digital room, virtual room, I think that's all, how you set that context is also an important piece to get people to listen as well. So anyway, just because remember in the good old days when we used to meet at different spaces, and that we would say, maybe we should go to more of a retreat center because we want people to think differently. So I can tell you that, you know, I always was thinking about where to meet, all that. But now it's like, how can I create something virtually that people would feel differently? And so anyway, just that thought as well.
Thank you, Lori. And it also reminds me, I'm doing a retreat, I think next week, and it's 5 days. And I just received this most carefully curated invitation that puts the awareness of the invitation of how are you joining the space? Imagine by clicking on that Zoom link, you're inviting me to your house. And how would you like your house to look? So that was a very intentional kind of even if you don't want to come on camera, could you put a picture of something that's meaningful to you and the others can connect as well? And that's also something about the room that we're in and the things we're seeing, because you know, with the polyvagal theory of everything in the front is for the connection, and we see and we hear and we sense. And how can we connect with the back as well? And that's also walking by changing the directions. We're doing different connections, and we need those different parts in a way of ourselves. Looking at the time, I would like to come to a close. And would like to offer maybe just a short checkout by Chatterful. So the question would be to type one thing in the chat that has inspired you today. Could be anything. It could be even nothing. Nothing inspired me. You can just type them as they come. We don't have to wait for each other. Have you experienced, seen, heard, or even thought of in your mind that has inspired you?
I think you're reminding us, and it was inspiring, if I may, to ensure that we bring the other half of our essence here, that it's our body. Virtual environments, sometimes we focus a lot on okay, connecting the minds, but we have to connect our body to the process as well. So, and I've been quite adamant about that, doing things, making sure that our body. I'm a hand speaker. I speak with my hands most of the time. So sometimes when you're online and you're doing like this, you look really crazy. So you stop doing it. So yeah, I'm kind of like handcuffed. Yep. Just, yeah, I have these 4 walls. But the thing, nobody says that I cannot start talking to you like this, right? Like in this corner or in the other corner. And we just, we have to use it more, definitely. Get out of the square, right, Inger?
Indeed, get out, break out of the square. Well, maybe even other squares. You know, we can use this and that, and maybe this or that. Yes, indeed. Break out of the square. Thank you so much.
And
Go
I can
ahead.
share with you that I'm working with an Indian theater group from Mumbai in facilitation for young kids on the climate school education. And they use the screen in an amazing way. Very funny for young people and grown-ups.
I think
So
that's
so much to learn yet still.
That's the next session. Paul, invite Inger and then the theater group as well. So to bring more innovation and ideas. So
That will be Digital Collab Europe in the winter solstice for the North Hemisphere.
that would be lovely.
Do you notice how I grow a mustache from Zoom?
Oh, I was, yeah.
And this is totally AI generated because it detects where I am. And so you can also do that yourselves if you like.
We can all grow all kinds of interesting, let me see.
Technology is
Paul,
amazing.
Paul, are you saying that you've sat here so long that you got this 5 o'clock shadow?
We can all grow beards.
Oh, yes.
With a few
It's
clicks.
studio effects. You have to pick on, whenever you're picking up a background, you have to do studio effects. And you have also the lip. You can select your lips color. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me see. I picked this
Are
one.
you coloring your lips now, Paul?
No, I'm not coloring my lips right now, but I could do it like this. Yeah. Now they're colored.
No.
It thinks that the machine detects where you have your lips.
Yeah.
Automatically colors them.
I use that lipstick technique when I'm really getting sort of tired at the end of the day and I'm going into a meeting, and I just put on that lipstick from that, so that.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. It perks up my color a little bit, because by that end of the day, sometimes I'm not looking so good.
Really? It's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, I would like to see how this is going to evolve, because one day we have AI to do the facilitation for us. We have a computer with a lovely voice like Sara.
Yes, you have a great voice, Sarah. It's wonderful. It's very relaxing.
Thank you all. So I'm wishing you, yeah, Laura, you have to go. So thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really,
And
yes. Thank you so much.
enjoy listening, enjoy walking, stay well, take
Thank you,
care.
Nohad.
Bye.
Give them a Nohad and Sara a big round of applause for preparing this session for us, please. And let's go all the way to the front.
Thank you.
Yes. And also you need to actually, Sara and Nohad, you need to stand your hand in front of you, cross it, put it across, and give you a big pat on the back, because you did a really great job. You did a really great job. And Paul, wow, it's boot camp number 2. It's finished. Wow, time flies.
Thank you so much, Hector. A round of applause for Hector for his hosting the session.
Much appreciated.
Small but very important interventions. Okay, so it's now break time. We'll be back here 30 minutes from now. No longer Zoom will be used for the interactions. I'm so glad that this session was recorded, because I think we did great sharing here. And maybe for future generations to come, they see, oh, back in 2021, this group of facilitators had these wonderful ideas. So thank you all, and see you in 30 minutes live for the last circle of wisdom.
And that is from the Digital Lab website, right?
Yes, if you like to watch digitalfacilitation.us, and then there's a live stream there. Okay.
So much. Enjoy your day.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nohad.
Bye.
So I think I will check out also.
Yeah, let's do some relaxing time in the meantime. I'm going to share some music.
Can you stop recording, Paul?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that will be the right time, because you passed it those